Welcome to the West Ham Voice, and it is Sunday, the 7th of August, our first game of the new 2022-23 season at 4:30 this afternoon. We're going to be facing Man City at home, and well, excited. I think everyone should be. And I know there's an awful lot of talk about the kind of team that we're going to put out, etc. But this is going to be a short preview. It's not going to go into too much depth, but just to give my thoughts on the lineup that we're likely to be facing, on the lineup that we're likely to put out, and so on. So there's been an awful lot of anxiety about people saying, we bought 5 players and yet we're not likely to see any of our new signings on the pitch this afternoon. And that's probably true. But first, let's sort of think about who we're going to be facing. And I think it's going to be pretty obvious that we're going to see Ederson in goal for Man City. John Stones is apparently not fully match fit. So in defence, they're likely to see Diaz, Walker, Ake and Cancelo. Still not a bad formation lineup at the back there for them. And people are going to speculate whether we're going to see Calvin Phillips in the middle of the park today. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think you'll probably see Rodri with De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva either side of him. And then up front, take your pick. Foden, Grealish, Haaland, Mahrez, Alvarez, their new signing. And I'm going to go for Mahrez, Haaland and Foden. So they've got a new focal point, haven't they, at the front, Erling Haaland. So they're going to still play their 4-3-3 formation. They're still going to pass the ball to death. And this time round, they've got a killer striker at the heart of their attacking lineup that we're going to have to worry about. So I expect to see nothing more from Man City than the usual. A lot of ball possession. They're going to frustrate us. They've got 2 very attack-minded central midfielders with Rodri, who's going to be guarding their defensive lineup to allow De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva to maraud forward. So that's basically 5 up front, isn't it? It's literally a 4-1-5 formation at times with Man City, and I'm not expecting anything different at all. So, it's not going to be an easy job. It's not going to be easy, but we're there to make sure that we sort of keep them at bay. And I think we might well do. Now, David Moyes has alluded to that there's quite a number of players missing, plus we're not likely to see any of our new signings. So let's just go through the new signings for a moment. We know what's happened to Naya Fagerd. He's out for about 3 months, so we're not going to see him for a while. We may not even see him this side before the World Cup. Might not be until next year before we actually see him play. Let's hope it gets better sooner. Obviously, he wants to make the World Cup with Morocco as well. Then we got Flynn Downs. And we know Flynn Downs, he's been lively in pre-season, but it's quite likely that he's going to be a player that we're going to see on the bench moving forward. Then we've got Scamacca, and there's been talk about Scamacca not being match fit. I just wonder if that's mind games for David Moyes. I wouldn't be surprised if Scamacca was actually named on the bench this afternoon. And then, of course, we got Maxwell Cornet, who has been signed, but not in time. The deadline, which was midday on Friday, hasn't been signed in time for him to appear for this game. And then in goal. And then, it's going to be a choice between, are we going to see David Moyes continue to be loyal with Fabianski, or is he going to give the number 1 slot for the Premier League to Alphonse Areola? I know my feelings. I'd like to see Areola start, but I've got a feeling it will probably be Fabianski. So who else is missing? Well, let's go back to last weekend when we played our final pre-season against Lens, and we had Antonio missing and we had Creswell missing. Apparently they were out with slight knocks. We saw the introduction of Craig Dawson. He played his first pre-season of about 60 minutes or so. And of course, Diop was also missing from illness. Now we know Diop's not ill now because we saw him walking around with Maxwell Cornet when Cornet came to sign for West Ham on Friday in the videos. So it's going to be interesting to see. So I think we're going to have a bit of a makeshift defense. So I think it'll be Fabianski. Me personally, I would rather see Alphonse Areola, but I think Fabianski will be in goal. I think we're going to see Soufal on the right hand side, and this is where if we do have if Dawson's not fit enough, we also know Ogbona's not ready because he's still playing for the under-21s, trying to build up his fitness, and we've got to see what kind of Ogbonna we're going to have when he is finally match fit, but he's not around for a month. So I think Soufal will go on the right, and then we might have a bit of a mix. We might see the likes of Dawson if he's fit alongside Zuma, and then quite possibly Johnson as a left back. Because I'm not so sure Creswell will be back in time. So I'm going to go for that. I'm going to go for Soufal, Dawson, Zuma, and Johnson. Now, if Dawson's not ready, and if Creswell's not ready, then we're going to have to call in Diop, aren't we? We're going to have no choice and look at having the likes of Soufal, Zuma, Diop on the left side of central defence, and then Johnson on the left side. So be ready for maybe not so many surprises, but if we don't have the players fit enough, then we might have to see a bit of a makeshift defence there. Of course, in the centre of the park, we're going to have Declan and Souček. And then up front, if Antonio's not fit, we could see the likes of Fornals, Benrahma, Lanzini, and Bowen probably being the pivots up front. If you remember in the last pre-season against Lens, we had Fornals being that pivot. That didn't quite work. But maybe, quite maybe, if Antonio's not fit, we'll see Bowen up front with Fornals, Lanzini, and Benrahma. If Antonio is fit, then I'll drop Lanzini from that lineup and have Bowen out on the right, Benrahma on the left, and then Fornals in the middle. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and which players we have available and which players are not going to be fit enough. But don't be surprised if Scamacca's on the bench. I've got a feeling, mind games with Moyes. I mean, really, how unfit is he? Apparently, he's been banging them in training sessions. So it will not surprise me one bit if he's on the bench. It won't surprise me one bit if he starts. So the other thing about the squad, etc., is there's a number of these players. We know we're going to have quite a different setup next weekend against Nottingham Forest because we're going to have Cornet. He's going to be back, so he'll be available. We're going to have, there'll be Downs, of course, on the bench. Maybe Areola might play if, let's see how Fabianski fares today. And Scamacca will be match fit. So you're going to see quite a different formation, quite a different lineup next weekend. So the players that are playing today, some of them could be playing to try and keep their place in the first 11 because we've got Cornet coming in, we've got Scamacca coming in, and also in defence, when Agerd, when he finally makes it back, we've got Ogbonna on his way back. Craig Dawson might be fit enough again next week. So these players that are playing today are quite likely not only playing to sort of make sure that we get a result against Man City, but they're playing for their places as well. Competition. That's what we want, isn't it? We actually finally want some competition on the bench, so that there's a player for every part of the outfield, even in goal. So we've got Soufal and Johnson battling for the right back spot. We've got 5 at the moment, centre backs, unless one goes during the summer window. So we got Dawson, Zuma, even Diop, Agerd when he comes back, and Ogbonna as well. We've got on the left side, we still need a left back to compete with Creswell, because I know Cornet can play at left back, but I think Cornet will be more the role that Masuaku was given, a left-sided winger, sort of a wing-back type of role. So we still need a left back there. In the middle of the park, there's all this talk about all these players that we're going for. I know I did a show about Ibrahim Sangara, and I know he signed a 5-year deal only back in June with PSV, but that doesn't stop clubs from, making a bid for him. All it means is he'll just be a bit more expensive than he would have been had he not signed the 5-year extension at PSV. But we've got competition there as well. And then, of course, up front, with Scamacca coming in, with Cornet, etc., all of a sudden, we've got the likes of Lanzini looking over his shoulder. We've got the likes of Antonio as well, Fornals, etc. Everyone's going to be competing for places. So it's going to be quite interesting. And as David Moyes has said, business in the transfer market is not finished. Hudson-Odoi has apparently handed in a transfer request at Chelsea only this morning, I believe. why not go for him? He'd be a fantastic loan signing, perhaps. Gallagher again from Chelsea. He didn't get any time on the pitch in the game, Chelsea's game yesterday. Why not try and a cheeky loan bid for him as well? I think we've still got a bit of business to do, and there'll be even more competition coming up. Anyway, short and sweet, because it's now 12:15 and I've got to make my way to meet everyone else at the pub. And I think it's going to be, it'll be backs against the wall. We're going to have 15-20% possession throughout the whole game. So it's important that the players that do play are going to have to try and make the most of that possession when we do get the ball. I'm going for a 2-2, and why not? A lot of people are saying we're going to get smashed, but then again, a lot of people said we were going to get smashed when we played City at the tail end of last season. And in fact, we surprised them all by going 2-0 up. I think we should have won that game, to be quite honest with you, but it shows the quality of Man City for getting back into that game. So I'm going for another 2-2, another Desmond. So everybody, thank you for watching. Short and sweet. Going to be back again Monday night on the West Ham Weekly. If you're new to the channel, do subscribe and hit the like button, hit the bell notification, etc., and leave your comments. Tell me what you think, and then when when I'm watching the game or halftime, etc., I'll be able to look at them and respond to the comments that you make on this show. Thank you for watching. I'll see you very soon. Come on, you Irons. We're going to do it today, aren't we?